Coming up, 5 Marines prepare their defense as an inquiry into abuse allegations opened today.
The theories of neighbors and what police are saying 1 week after that deadly fire on Homestead Street.
And the job of finding work for young people. The National Report starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This segment of the news is brought to you by BTC, powered by Lime.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kishla Adderley.
And I'm Kendino Knowles. As always, it's good to have you joining us.
Topping the news tonight, a hearing looking into the alleged physical abuse of Cuban detainees at the hands of Defense Force Marines at the detention center, purported in a video aired internationally in June, opened this morning at the Coral Harbor base. 5
Defense Force Marines are defending themselves against the charges of Cuban detainees who claim the Marines brutalized them. Their attorney, Wayne Monroe, telling ZNS News today what happened as proceedings opened this morning.
They're facing disciplinary offenses. They were, to use layman's language, arraigned today. There's a need for provision of other supporting material so that they can know the case facing them before the matter continues. But it is a matter of some concern to them, to other Defense Force officers and other Defense Force Marines I have spoken to, that they are being treated in this fashion.
Now, Mr. Monroe says this has been a very challenging ordeal for the officers.
It is disheartening. I asked them the same question I asked the police officers who, in my judgment, should have shot the fellow who was trying to escape rather than do it. I asked them, well, why didn't y'all take the shot and shoot them off the fence instead of having the Marine seamen climbing on razor wire and barbed wire? You had a Bahamian citizen, a Bahamian Marine, being ordered to climb over barbed wire to stop somebody scaling a wall. That wouldn't happen anywhere else.
Jurors have been excused until tomorrow in the Renee Sherman, Cordero Bethel, and Ginaldo Farrington trial. Testimony, meantime, has been suspended for some 2 weeks to allow a trial within a trial to take place. Sherman is accused of conspiring with Bethel and Farrington to kill her husband, banker Stephen Sherman, last year. Renee Sherman is also facing a separate charge of aiding and abetting in the crime, while Farrington and Bethel are charged with murdering the 43-year-old and robbing him and a female relative. Attorney Muriel Ducille, Attorney Krista Smith, and Attorney Nathan Smith make up the defense. Sandra D. Gardner and Viola Barnett are appearing on behalf of the Crown. Justice Roy Jones is hearing the case.
Proceedings before some of the magistrates and Supreme Courts were essentially canceled today after court reporters failed to show up for work. They're reportedly protesting unpaid salaries. ZNS News understands stenographers haven't been paid for several weeks. And we also understand stenographers have, as we said, not been paid. We attempted to speak with Ludell Theophilus of LET Court Reporting, the company that is responsible for the privately contracted stenographers. However, we were told that she was not in office.
A 49-year-old male resident of Yamacraw Hill Road was charged in the Magistrates Court number 9 this morning with allegedly having unlawful sex with a 13-year-old girl between April and May of 2012. The case has been adjourned until December 10th, but the accused has been remanded to prison for 7 days. He's due back in court on Monday. Also from the courts, a 16-year-old male of Nassau Village faced 5 rape charges today. He wasn't required to enter a plea to any of the charges, and bail has been denied. He remains in police custody. A magistrate has sentenced 59-year-old Mayaguana resident Henry Smith to 4 years in prison after he pleaded guilty to possession of 3 pounds of marijuana. According to police on Mayaguana, acting on a tip, they searched Smith's bag shortly after he arrived on the island on a mailboat and uncovered a quantity of marijuana hidden in several loaves of bread. During today's proceedings before Magistrate Andrew Forbes, Smith admitted that the drugs were his and he was convicted and sentenced. His His 4-year sentence begins with immediate effect.
Residents in the Homestead Street community are still reeling from that fire that killed an entire family last week. Residents say they remain confused about what really happened, and it's something police are still trying to figure out. Our Janelle Ferguson returned to the scene and has both sides.
We returned to Homestead Street, where last week a family of 6 died in a fire at this house. But when we returned today, we met signs on the wall like this one. This family has been murdered. The police are covering up the murder count.
Well, the talk was that the people in the house was bolted down in the house, and there was a guy who was witness to a murder, was supposed to be the suspect who got burned out. Should have been burned in the fire, but the talk said that the people burned the wrong house. The guys then probably want to shut them up, so they probably burned the wrong house. Those people in that house perished for nothing.
Community members who claim that they were close to the family talk with our news team off camera, expressing their concern about what may or may not have happened to that family. Many of them believe that a crime has happened, while others said it may have reportedly been an electrical problem.
I can't say whether this was an accident or whatever it was, right? But the situation with the people I'm running job card and all that, they need to clarify that. And all the different stations and everybody need to clarify that. These people at light in their house was running from the front house straight to the back. They landed on, make sure they had light, they had cable, they had everything in their house. But the situation with the job card, all that is false information. If someone don't know what is going on, cheap, you come to a family member or you ask the right question and stop spreading rumors.
One sign that says, this house, this window did not have a bar. This was an escape window.
That's how I see him. I don't know. Once a person installs a burglar or burglar bars within their domestic home or their homes, we're asking them to ensure that at least one window is used as a fire escape.
Now, rumors also circulated among community members about one of the victims being known to police. Officer in charge of the Police Fire Division, Superintendent Walter Evans, said that they must first verify who was actually in that house.
Once we have confirmed identities of those individuals, and then we would be in a position to say whether Tom Brown or John Doe has had a relationship with the police or is known to the police, then we'll be in a position to say that.
The police fire chief acknowledged that while the rumor mill might be churning about what happened on Homestead Street 1 week ago, authorities are more concerned with the facts.
Wait until such time as the process has been completed, and then you can get the facts to know exactly what took place.
Janelle Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
National Security Minister, the Honorable Dr. Bernard Naughton, says he's pleased with the work members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force are doing since they've been placed on 12-hour shifts. In fact, he strongly believes that the new crime-fighting strategy is working. The evidence, he says, is in the noticeable dent in crime.
We want to establish a culture in our communities now of the presence of the police officers. I want the bad boys to expect them to be everywhere, because they are everywhere. And if the community continues to work along with us, I expect us to continue to have a measure of success. As I always tell you, I'm not prepared to take any credit. All I know is things are better now. People appear to be less fearful, and we're going to do everything we can to maintain it.
Now, just how long will the 12-hour shifts for police officers last?
The commissioner is the one who will determine that, because he has a responsibility for deployment, and I expect him to use his best judgment as to how long it is necessary. For me, I expect it to continue for some time.
In our first look at weather, Tropical Storm Jerry formed in the far eastern Atlantic, but is no threat to the Bahamas. And outside of our studios just now, we have just a few clouds, your temperature around 83 degrees, relative humidity 66%, winds out of the northeast at 4 knots, and your barometric pressure 1,013.0 millibars. That's 29.91 inches, and it is steady. But stay tuned, temperatures around the family violence, travel, and boating forecast is still to come.
Well, still ahead tonight, young people get to work finding jobs.
And the police band drums up excitement as it celebrates 120 years. You're watching The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news is brought to you by Lux Men's Warehouse.